to start. Get yourself a killer intro. Do you like my guitar? Welcome to my YouTube channel.
Well, hello, and welcome back, everybody. My name is Trusten, and today we're going to be talking about Milky Way Idle. We're going to take a look at iron cows, because I know that everybody got a 4th slot recently, so that means that a lot of people are making iron cows. So what I'd like to do is go over a fairly in-depth guide, I guess, for iron cows. This is going to be taken from my knowledge, and then my friend Phil, who is in Survey Corps, has done a beautifully written guide for iron cow and how to progress. So I'll be taking bits and pieces from that as well. So to start off, what is an iron cow? An iron cow is somebody who cannot use the marketplace here. So if I come over to the market and I click on any item, everything is grayed out. I cannot use the market at all. What I can do is make everything myself. I can also party with other iron cows. I cannot party with market cows. So the only people that I can party with are people with the IC tag or the LC, the legacy cow tab. So when building your iron cow, the most important thing, I think anyway, is your tools. When you have your tools, all right, listen, don't judge me because of my lack of enhanced tools. I keep on meaning to enhance them and I keep forgetting. Anyway, your tools are going to be the biggest reduction of time as you are going through and leveling up your character. So for example, my shears here have a foraging speed of 90%. If I were to get them up to, like +5, like I should have them without any problem, it would be a much higher foraging speed, and therefore it would take me less time to do things. So with that, you're going to need to level up cheesesmithing, even if you're not a melee character, in order to get your tools. Because time is so important, I put tools ahead of the next thing, which is going to be your pouch. And I know I have told people multiple times throughout all my guides, like the 5 things I wish I knew, get your pouch early, get your pouch fast. When you are working toward your giant pouch, you're going to need the 750 skill to use the giant pouch, but also you're going to need 1,000 beast leather, 1,000 silk, and 5 million gold. So make sure that you are saving up for that. When you're leveling up your tailoring skill, you are making the beast leather to prepare to make your pouch. Another thing that you're going to have to know or learn as you go through your iron cow playthrough is where stuff comes from. So for example, when you are doing foraging, all of your beans come from foraging, whereas all of your tea leaves come from combat. So when you are getting ready to start brewing stuff and creating your drinks, you need to know that your coffees will come from the beans that you can gather, whereas the teas will all come from the tea leaves from combat. So you can create all your coffees from gathering and all your tea leaves from combat. That's not to say that you can't get some beans, I think. Actually, I don't think you can get any beans from combat. Disregard what I was going to say then. The next thing we'll talk about is tasks. Tasks are not as important as you may think they are with Iron Cow. They are important. They'll help guide you. They'll get you some task points and get you your star fragments and your mirrors and all that jazz down here. So they are fairly important, but it's not something you want to hyper focus on. Like with the market cows, I would recommend people get tasks to start getting their gifts and stuff like that. With the iron cow, you're going to be doing other things more so than working on your tasks. Task might be something to help guide you in a direction. So for example, I was kind of at a spot where I have everything done that I need done. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to clear out all of my combat tasks. So that's what I started doing on Iron Trusten. Alchemy is pretty big for us as Iron Cows because we can take items. So for example, I have Revive already. I'm debating on doing this, is why I still have it. I have Revive already as a skill. So I don't need to use this book. So I could alch this out with a 52% chance of success to get another aura skill. So it's intimidating because I don't want to lose the book. They're very hard to come across, but it's also a way that Iron Cows get abilities and skills that they need in order to level up, per se. So for example, you could take Crippling Slash here and say you're an archer and you really need penetrating shot. You have your 52% chance to transmute this into penetrating shot. Another thing that Iron Cows use alchemy for is decomposition. So we can decompose things. So there are things you can make, like pinchy gloves. If you decompose these, you get your crab pinchers back, and then you can make a new pair. So you could level up smithing, decompose your claws into materials again, level up your alchemy, then make more claws to level up your smithing. And hopefully, if you succeed enough, you have a good XP ring there. With enhancing, these are just some of the most common questions I've seen in beginner chat lately. With enhancing, the easiest way to do it would be something like your Gator Vest, where you have Swamp Essence, where you're just using essence that you're going to get from combat anyway. And you can see here how it says level requirement 20. So you could do it a little before 20 and just keep on working it, and then eventually you'll move up to some other things like the Gobos. So that was which is level 40, and you can go from there. I think the Defender is 60. Yeah. So you're gonna spend some time in Gobos, which is fine. Gobos. I know they're supposed to be goblins, all right, guys, but I've been calling it Gobos for a long time. One thing to note with leveling skills is something like your acrobatic hood, which is what I just got. Really proud of it. But it takes 50 umbral hoods to make an acrobatic hood. So if you are an archer main, right, a ranged main, and you're working up your skills, one thing that you could do is know that it takes 50 umbral hoods in order to make your acrobatic hood. So you could work that up and then save those 50s as you're working up your skill, right? The other thing to note is, again, this is for ranged because I'm a ranged player, so I do know these things. Your Sundering Crossbow here takes 60 arcane crossbows in order to make it. So that is something that I need to work on. Get the wood, refine the wood, then make the crossbows, and have 60 in weight for my Sundering Crossbow. Alright, let's talk about melee for a little bit in Iron Cow. I do have a full Smash guide that I want to create, but I felt like the Iron Cow, IC guide was a little bit more important. So I'll get more into detail about what you should wear in that guide. But I will say this. For melee, there are 2 or 3 distinct variations of melee. You have your slash, which are like your swords and stuff like that. So we go to main hand, so you got your swords, your cheese swords, so on and so forth, all the way up to the regal sword. So that is your slash variation. You're going to be using skills like Scratch, and cleave, stuff like that will give you a slash damage, crippling slash, I believe. Yeah, it'll give you slash damage for your swords and shields. Then you have smash and stab, which I kind of grouped them a little bit together. Smash uses more power, does big damage, but has lower accuracy, and stab uses more attack, has more accuracy, and lower power. These two are kind of grouped together. And then finally, you have your bulwarks, which are your tanking shields. So these are for the 100% tanks in the world. And again, I'll get into more detail on those. But as you're leveling up, typically you're going to want to have your first ability will be something like slash. If you're going for the slash build. And then you'll get hopefully minor heal as your second ability. Minor heal is going to be incredibly useful for iron cows. They're incredible. I think they're incredibly useful for market cows as well, but I'm not entirely sure. As you can see, I am a ranged character, but I have almost 60 magic, and that's because I've healed myself as I've progressed through the game. So I've gained magic skill that way. One note I want to make as an iron cow, when you are going through combat and you're trying to figure out where to get these things from, you can use the marketplace. Whoa, I know you said no marketplace, but hey, listen up. You can go into books, look for the skill that you are interested in getting. So scratch, for example, I click on that and then click item directory, and it tells me who drops it, where I can drop it from. It also tells me all the information about transmuting and all that stuff. So it's like, if I'm going for a poke build, right? I can get scratch at level 4, and then I can try to transmute into poke, or I can see where poke comes from. Poke comes from Jerry. So I can get poke and then transmute that, try to transmute that into scratch. So, you know, just thoughts, just a thought. You could also transmute it in the minor heal. I didn't know that. Minor heal comes from slimy. So you might be asking yourself, okay, cool, man. I know this stuff because I've played my market cow before. All right, cool. I respect that. You might also be asking, well, tell me, you might be saying something like, tell me something important, like what kind of coffee should I use? I would recommend for the melee to use something like a power coffee or stamina coffee if you're really struggling to survive. And wisdom coffee. I think wisdom coffee is probably the most important coffee you can make, because the most important thing to iron cows are levels. So both wisdom coffee and wisdom tea are going to be super important. So you have quite a few things ready for it to be made. But that's going to be probably the most important, because getting your skills up, getting your combat skills up is going to be super beneficial to you, because you gain so much from your skills, especially stamina and defense. As you go through and you start unlocking more coffee slots here, I'd probably have that power or stamina and wisdom, and I might throw in some swiftness coffee here. You can see even at whatever level I'm at, I'm still using wisdom. And I'd throw in some swiftness coffee here, because it increases your attack speed. So as a melee, you want to do more auto attacks, and this is how you do more DPS. And as you progress and you level up, you'll get to your 50 int abilities, which means that you'll have 3 abilities unlocked. From there, you're going to probably want to put in Berserk. You keep your slash and your cleave if you're going slash. Otherwise, you're going to use whatever ability that you want for your stab, like you use Impale. Then eventually, when you get to your 90 loadout here, where you're going to have all 4 of your slots, and trust me, it takes a while to get to 90. It takes a while, I think, on market cow as well. It's just going to take time. That's the main thing about iron cows, is it takes time to progress the character. When you get your 4th slot, you want to put, if you're playing slash, you want to put maim in there. Maim is massive. Look at that. Bleeds for 100% of physical damage over 9 seconds. Crazy good. And it increases target's damage taken by 8%. Big damage boost there. So that's definitely something you're going to want to get to when you hit 90. If you are going for poke, you probably want something like puncture. If you are going for smash, you probably want something like stunning blow as your 4th slot. All right, let's talk about ranged a little bit. This one I know a little bit more about. So ranged, you're going to want to go with bows until you get to roughly 65-ish. Maybe even later than that, depending on what you're, what you find and what you can farm and stuff like that. You want to go with bows, and then you're going to spend some time in the jungle planet farming treants so you can get those treant barks to make your treant shield. You're going to want your treant shield and a crossbow. So typically an arcane crossbow or a redwood crossbow is when I start transitioning over to treant shield. And you're going to use that for a good portion until you get into dungeon, stuff like that. As far as your abilities go, as far as your coffees go, you're going to want ranged coffee and XP coffee, ranged and wisdom to start out with. Then eventually you're going to want swiftness, ranged, and wisdom. That'll be your basic setup for all of eternity until you get into dungeons. As far as abilities go, you're going to want quick shot, which comes from porcupine, I do believe. So you're going to use quick shot for a long period of time. Then when you get your minor heal, you're going to want to use that for a little bit if you're struggling a bit. And then eventually you'll swap it out for either rain of arrows, or you'll use aqua or flame arrow for a while. I would probably suggest flame arrow if you get it, but that's a little bit harder to get. So you probably start with aqua arrow, so you have 2 damaging abilities as you go through there. As you progress through your pouches, I already told you. You get your swiftness, your wisdom, and your ranged. When you get your 50 intelligence, so you got your 3 abilities here, you're going to want to use berserk, rain of arrows, and quick shot. Eventually, when you get your 90, you'll have a loadout that looks something like this, but you're going to swap out penetrating shot for steady shot. That'll be there for a while. Steady shot's pretty good. It makes sure that you have accuracy to hit things, because you can't gain experience if you're not hitting things. And then you also use silencing shot for certain monsters. For example, Sork Tower is really good with silencing shot because they can't cast spells, and they're all spell people. All right, let's talk about equipment a little bit here. So in the jungle planet here, you can farm centaurs, which you can get your centaur boots from. They have centaur hooves that drop. Centaur boots currently are very, very strong. I don't know if something came out in D4 for feet for rangers, but I think they're still best in slot. So you can make these early on, keep them, just keep enhancing them, make a couple pair. And you can do what's called a leapfrog, where you just get one to level 2, use that one to get the next one to level 3, use that one to use your level 2 one to get to level 4. And you kind of ladder it up or leapfrog it up. That's a way that I can use these things. That's the way I use these things. And then you'll be working with your treant shield for treants. And then if we go over to Planet of the Eyes here, Vi Eyes drops a magnifying glass there that is used to make your sighted bracers. So you have arms and feet and shield super well done just from these planets alone, just farming these planets. You can farm them with a group. You can probably solo the things and get good XP. So not bad at all. You'll want to wear umbral gear, so whatever whatever leather you can use. You're eventually going to want to get up the umbral, so you're going to want to level up your tailoring as well. And you'll have a full umbral set until you get into your Twilight group. But that'll be your loadout for a good period of time, until about from bears until you start hunting for the soul farm. Or soul farm. The soul hunter. You farm for the soul hunter. There we go. English, boy. For your soul hunting, you might need to switch out coffees a little bit. Let me go somewhere that's got coffees. Then we'll go here. So you might want to switch out your wisdom coffee. I know, it's crazy, right? You might want to switch out your wisdom coffee for some stamina coffee, because things hit hard. Things hit hard. So you need to be able to survive them. So either stamina or super stamina at that point will be very, very beneficial. And you'll probably run that all the way into DPS. You'll run that into dungeons. The only other thing that you're going to need to farm for dungeons, you're going to need to farm it eventually anyway. So if you go to Bear With It, the boss of Bear With It drops red panda fluff. You need 10 of these, so that way you can make your hat. So you can make your fluffy red hat. That is the best damage for rangers until dungeon 2. If you get lucky and you get another 10, you can make your culinary hat. Then after you have your soul hunter, after you have your fluffy hat, after you have everything like that, you are going to work on getting revenant anima. You need, I think, 18 of them total, maybe 16, I don't remember, to make your revenant tunic and revenant chaps. So it's going to be a lot of farming here. You can probably solo soul hunter without the revenant stuff, but it's not going to be ideal. You'll have subpar times and everything, but getting the soul hunter crossbow is well worth it. But then you'll be ready for dungeons. You'll have a setup similar to this. You'll just have the treant shield and your red fluffy hat, and you'll be ready for dungeons. Good luck. All right, let's talk about mages. So straight up, I'm going to be honest with you. If you're going mage, start melee first, or ranged first, or anything first. Don't start level 1 mage. You are going to have a bad time. It's not going to be fun. When I was playing my support mage, he got a task done. When I was doing my support mage here, you can see I have 87 attack and 88 power. I was running melee long before I was a mage, because it is super hard to start as a mage. Just don't do that. When you are at a point that you want to transition, you should already have your flame cloth, and then you can work towards your icy cloth as well. You might have both of them. But you're going to want to make your flaming robes and flaming pants and icy cloth and icy pants. Some of the things that you're going to need to farm, I'm going to assume that you're already higher level, so I'm not starting with like level 1 stuff. I'm starting with what you need to farm as a mage. So if you are going support, you will need to farm the jungle planet quite a bit for the Luna wings, which will give you the Luna tops and Luna bottoms. That will be your best in slot right now for healing. In the Sork Tower, you will need, and I think they all can drop them, you'll need Sorcerer's Souls for your Sork boots. Actually, let me just get over on this guy. So, all right. Your Sork boots come from Sorcerer's Souls, which are come from the Sork Tower. You'll need your Frost Staff, which comes from the Chronofrost Sorcerer. You also need your Chronospheres, which give you your gloves. So you're going to be spending, as a mage, you're going to spend a lot of time in here. So I'd recommend leveling up as an archer, because archers do really well in this zone. Level up as an archer so you can start farming all this. You'll have your Radiant Hat, and you go from there. As you are progressing, I'm assuming that you're going to switch over when you have at least 50 intelligence from using heal and everything like that. So you, if it's a fire mage, you're going to probably want to start out with Firestorm, Flame Blast, and then Fireball. And you want to keep your Fireball. Where's the Fireball? There it is. You want to keep your Fireball at the furthest right slot that you can. Alternatively, if you wanted to start water, you would go something like Ice Spear, Frost Surge, Water Strike. And again, you want to keep your Water Strike as far right as it can go. And if you're using Entangle for whatever reason, your Entangle is as far right as it can go. So Ice Sorcerers are great for single target, whereas Flame is great for AoE. Take that into consideration when you're building your character. I think right now Ice is still the best at endgame. What I would do, start out Ranger. Go with Ranger so you can do Flame Sorcerers pretty well. Then from there you want to get your Flame Robes and Flame Pants. And you'll be using a Fire Staff. Then go to Jungle, and you can do well with Jungle because all these guys have low fire resist. So it'd be really beneficial. You can farm your Luna gear here, right? So you'll have your Luna gear, you'll be leveling up, you'll be doing all this stuff. And then eventually, what you'll be able to do is go back to Sork Tower, get your Ice Sorceress going, so you can get your Frost gear. I need to get rid of the other ones. I was leapfrogging those. Forgot about them. Anyway, so you get your Ice gear, and then you can take on the... what are you doing? Got the Ice Sorcerers. Get your Ice gear. There we go. And then you can start doing things like Elementalists for your Tome of Elements, which you'll need as well. Or you can even go up and start doing some Abyss for various spells. Or you can actually just work Imps, because I think Imp drops it. Yeah, Imp drops Firestorm. Alright, so after all of that farming and all that gear, let's talk dungeons. I'm going to be totally honest with you guys. As a mage, with a Frost Staff, with all your gear, with your souls, yada yada yada, all the stuff here, if you are decked out as a Frost Mage, right, you can skip D1. D1, the only thing that's very, very beneficial, and the only reason I'm doing D1 is because it drops the Jackalope Staff. So, there it is. I was looking for it. So it drops the Jackalope Staff, which is the best healing staff at the moment. Well, no, I take that back. Dungeon 4 just dropped. So it's a very good healing staff, but it's not necessary for mages. Also, D1 sucks for mages. It's very difficult. The resistances are ridiculous for the various bosses. 256 here for the Jackalope. That's not bad. 233 for the Manticore. 335 for the Griffin. So the resistances are awful. So I understand why mages don't like doing Dungeon 1. But you would be geared enough to skip over it unless you really want that Jackalope Staff. If you do Dungeon 1 and you get lucky and you get a Quiver, I would highly recommend leveling Ranged, because that Quiver will just be beneficial for you. Let's see. So the Quiver just has just damage and evasion. So overall, all benefits, no downfall. Other than time of leveling up your range, which shouldn't be that bad with, you know, stamina at over 100 and defense over 100. And I think that's all I have for you today. I know it was kind of a long one. I know it was winded. It's a lot. It's a lot. Iron Cow's a lot, man. It just takes a lot of time to do stuff. I know a lot of people don't like that aspect of the game, but it's an idle game, and I really enjoy it. So until next time, my friends, toodles.
I wanna say thanks for the watch. I wanna say thanks for the view. Come back tomorrow for another one. I've got a lot more for you. This is the outro.